Welcome back to the channel. This is the biggest review I've ever done on the channel. This is the Mercedes-Benz eActros. Today we're going to look around the outside, the inside, and even go out for a drive in it. It is 5.5 meter of wheelbase. The overall length of the vehicle is 9.6. This is the rigid body version with the refrigeration on it. It comes in a regular rigid body, and it also comes in a curtain sider. Last week, a newer, bigger tractor unit was launched, the eActros 600. Today we're looking at the 300, and you can tell that by it's got the front set of wheels and then just a single set at the back. This one has 3 battery packs at 105 kilowatt hour each out of the Mercedes-Benz EQS, giving a WLTP range of 300 kilometers. Then the 400 6x2 has 4 of those packs at 105 kilowatt hours, giving you a 420 kilowatt hour capacity. In 4 battery packs, giving a WLTP range of 400 kilometers. With the new 600, with the tractor unit that was announced last week, we're just waiting on details to come through, but on the side of this you can see some of the stats on it. So it talks about up to 400 kilometer range, so 20 to 80% in 100 minutes. The DC fast charger of 160 kilowatt, it can take up to 160 kilowatt hour peak, 0 local emissions, so perfect for the local dispatch delivery. You're talking about the likes of overnight or early morning, so you're not waking up the neighborhood. Let's have a look at the charging port on the other side. Let's have a look at the batteries. There isn't a motor or an engine in underneath. The motor is actually on the back axle, and it's a twin motor. They call it the e-axle setup back here. And even on the 400 with the extra set of axles, this is always going to be the drive axle with the 2 e motors on it, on that e-axle. Let's have a look around the other side at the charging. Here on the left hand side, the passenger side here in Ireland, but on the driver side on Cont'd in Europe, you have your CCS up to 160 kilowatt peak, and so it can go from 20 to 80% in 100 minutes. With this 300, it's actually around that 70 odd minutes. And you have this queen body on the side of it with a Thermo King unit on the top of it. So gross vehicle is 19 tons on the 300, 27 ton on the 400, but we have to figure out what the actual weight of the box body is, the unit on the top, the refrigeration unit, and that will have its own battery supply, so it won't be taking energy from the actual batteries that are used for propulsion. And then what I'll do is I'll put on the screen, if I get it in time, what the actual payload weight that this can take internally within for the eActros 300. So that's the charging. Let's see if I can get some footage of the batteries in underneath. As I said, on this one it's 3 105 kilowatt hour batteries that are using the EQS. On the 400 it's 4, 300 WLTP on this one, 400 WLTP on the other one. Yeah, it's great to see it. It's great to see it. This is the first series production electric from Mercedes-Benz. Commercial side of things. We got this shown in 2018. So what happens is they announce it, then they do a lot of big tests with a lot of their customers just to make sure that they're getting everything right, and then they bring it to market when they feel that they're definitely not rushing to market with it anyway. So last week we got the announcement on the 600. That's going to be probably 2025, 2026 before we start to see that on the roads in the UK and Ireland. There may be a couple of test cases and trials with other large organisations that are utilising these every day. It's funny, I got a phone call yesterday from a company in Longford here in Ireland looking for a curtain sider that can go from one side of the country to the next. So this one could be the solution for the likes of that. Front is very similar to the regular Actros that you'll see on the road all day, every day. The only difference is you're not going to see any of this branding, but you will see that anodized blue E for the eActros that you will start to see across the actual unit itself. Inside here there isn't an engine, as we talked about. There is just that cool box. So there's 2 different coolant systems, one for the battery and one for the electric drive as well. So they've thought about the use of this and the practicality of it. Also, you'll notice some difference in some markets. You will see those e-mirrors or the e-cameras here in Ireland. They are optional, but they've gone with the traditional mirror. But you can get cameras, and there's got the panels on the inside of the A-pillars. Let's have a look on the inside. Inside the eActros, again, somewhere that I'm not used to, but I'm used to watching a bit of truck drivers on YouTube. It's got the classic Space M cabin. It's got a fully air suspension seat. It's got that central driving column that drops down, and I won't be driving it today. Keith from Mercedes-Benz Ireland will be driving it, just because I never got around to getting my HGV license, and there isn't that many electric lorries and trucks and buses that I need to utilise yet for it. But the typical start-stop button, a couple of screens in behind it with regards to all the different functionalities, your electronic handbrake. So yeah, very lovely place to be, I'm sure, for driving, and the fact that there's no vibration from that diesel engine. It's got climate control in here as well, and so lots of creature comforts that we'd be used to in the car world. You can see we've got my twin armrests for popping along, and this has a couple of things with regards to the different stages of regen. Again, I'll talk to Keith about it when we're talking about it. It's got 2-speed gearbox as well, so yeah, there's some things in this that we'll start to see coming down to different vehicles that are going to be electrified, not just in the Mercedes-Benz range, but in other ranges as well. So great to get a chance to have a look at this for the first time, get it on the channel. It's probably going to tick the box as being one of my biggest, although there are a couple of electric buses on the channel as well. So if you're interested in all things electric vehicles, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's not just the cars and the SUVs that we do, it's the likes of this, it's the electric vans. There's one coming to the channel very soon, and e-bikes, there's going to be more of that coming as well. So let's head out for a drive with Keith around Dublin and see what it's like to be a passenger in the Mercedes-Benz eActros. So just before we head out on the road with Keith, just some of the general stats about it. So the eActros comes in a couple of different variations: the 4x2, the 6x2, the 6x2 extended range, and the 6x2 with trailer ability. The width is 2.5 meters. I didn't cover that. We covered the wheelbase already. The gross vehicle weight, the 4x2 is 19 tonne, the 6x2 is 27 tonne, as well as the extended range. And then the 6x2 with the trailer ability is a 27 tonne tractor unit and a 40 tonne trailer. Payload on the 4x2 is 10.8, and then the 6x2 is just over 17.8. The extended range is 17 because of the bigger battery, you're losing a bit on that, and then with the trailer it's 17.3. Powertrain, very important. Across all of the different versions, it's the exact same. So it's a e-axle we've spoken about, it's 2 e-machines, and it's an RE440 Daimler unit. It is 400 kilowatt peak motor performance, 330 kilowatt constant, 2 forward gears but also 2 reverse gears. The first gear gives 35,000 newton meters of torque, and then the second gear is 11,000 newton meters of torque. The PTO performance peaks at 56 kilowatt with a constant of 33, max speed of 89 kilometers an hour, and it has 5 recuperation modes. They're lithium-ion batteries. Depending on the version, it's either 3 or 4. Each battery pack weighs 740 kgs. Up to 300 kilometers range on the 3 packs, and then up to 4 kilometer range on the 4 packs. 291 on the 3 packs kilowatt hours usable, and 388. Charging up to 160 kilowatt peak, and then charging times depends on whether it is 20 to 80%, can be done in 75 minutes on the 3 battery pack, and then 90 minutes, 20 to 80% on the 4 battery pack. Let's get out on the road with Keith and have a chat about what's it like to drive. Out on the road with product specialist for Mercedes-Benz Ireland, Keith Tanner. Keith, I'm not going to ask you if you think it's a great drive, because obviously you're going to be a small bit biased, but Keith has the HGV license, and we were just talking about other types of licenses, but the ability to get out with you and to feel, firstly, how quiet it is.
Absolutely.
And do you find that when drivers make that transition over, when they're out in the demos with you, because you're going around the country now, Ireland, giving demos to companies and putting drivers into it, what's their reaction been like?
The reaction is extremely positive. I mean, you're talking about a truck, so fatigue levels, first of all, straight away, that's the first thing you notice. Reduce straight away, because you're in such a quiet vehicle. It's so easy to operate. Everything is intuitive. There's no controls anywhere that you wouldn't expect it to be.
Right.
And I think the electric application nearly, in a strange way, it's nearly more impressive, not just because of the size, but it's more impressive than something this size, surely because it shows how much more can be done in that segment.
We were talking there as we pulled out of the gate, you have that engine, or the limiter, or the retarders.
Yes.
And it's the exact same in the electric.
Exact same. So
5-stage.
5-stage stock here to the right of the steering wheel. So as a driver in an ICE truck, in a Mercedes ICE truck, would operate his retarder to the different levels, I can adjust the recuperation levels here to the right of the steering wheel.
This is also a two-stage gear system.
Yeah.
And so there's
Correct.
stage 1 and stage 2. Stage
Two,
1,
2 gears, yeah.
2 gears, and so up till about 20 kilometers an hour, stage 1?
About 30.
30.
And it would depend on the load.
Okay.
So that's the gear to get you rolling.
Yes.
And then once you have a decent momentum built up, your second gear will engage, and that will carry you the rest of the way to your speed limiter.
Very good. You're on a fully suspension seat, but also the lorry. This one specifically is fully air suspension as well.
Correct. Yeah, we've air suspension on the front and rear axles on this truck.
So very comfortable, very smooth, super quiet.
Super quiet, yeah.
Like you said, the fatigue levels, but also for early morning or late night deliveries, it's the ideal in an urban environment.
Absolutely. And the 6x4 version of the eActros is also compatible with a waste unit.
Okay.
So for bin lorries, applications like that, which would typically be very early morning, very noisy
Okay.
in urban areas, it's another great advancement in the
Brilliant.
technology.
So lots of it's the same but different.
Yeah.
The next stage, the next evolution. Obviously, the infrastructure in Ireland needs to adapt to it as well. Truck stops and the charging spaces.
I mean, this is absolutely it. So if you can imagine trying to park something of this scale in your local supermarket to charge it, it's not always the easiest task, and probably not the most popular one either. But
So it would be mainly depot to depot charging, potentially.
Depot to depot work where you can charge at base, and particularly with a fast charger. I mean, that's going to offer your fast turnaround times. But it's not to say that it isn't capable of doing the longer distance either.
Perfect.
Very capable.
And this is the rigid chassis. I'm not good with the terminologies with regards to the truck.
It's the rigid, exactly.
The rigid. And then last week we had the eActros 600, the truck that I would have seen at IA last year.
Correct.
And that was announced. So I know it's going to be a couple of years before we start to see it on the road, but great to see it that it is gone into production in a small scale.
Absolutely. Recently just completed a test drive of it on the continent where they covered, I think, up to 532 kilometres with a full load.
And full load will be 40...
Up to 40 tonne, yes.
40 tonne.
So very impressive figures. And again, it shows just how far we've come, and a lot to be done over the next couple of years, obviously, but it's a great advancement in the technology.
Yeah, and I'd say you're probably getting a lot of companies that are doing this delivery, and this isn't even last mile delivery, this is very much with a 300 and 400 kilometre range. Ireland is the perfect size for this. I know that's WLTP, and once there's a load on, etc., but
yes,
you know.
No, absolutely. And in Ireland, we're very lucky in that regard. I mean, all of our cities are within a few hours from each other, and the truck is capable of doing those distances. This truck is theoretically capable of doing a run to Cork on one charge. That I get a grant that would be based on driver profile and the payload of the truck, weather conditions, but it is possible. And likewise, Galway, a very achievable target for the truck.
It is a slightly different driving style when driving electric, and there's probably that element of driver education with it as well.
Absolutely is. And so each of our demos, we would offer driver training. Now in our case, it so happens that we are doing driver training for established driver trainers. So we only need essentially to hand over the electric elements. So what has changed compared to an ICE truck, and then companies would train drivers directly on how to use an electric truck while also getting the benefit of the road safety training. So important as an overall package.
Excellent. Watching you there, checking your mirrors, and you're all. Yeah. It's easy for me to be a passenger here now and just take it all in and ask Keith the tough questions, but I don't think the questions are too tough today. God, it's lovely. Small bit of wind noise from the wing mirrors, but you'd expect that on a windy day, and we're on the M50 southbound. Limited to speed. What's the speed limit on it?
85 kilometres an hour is the chosen limiter.
Okay.
And again, that was, I suppose, based on a popular trend across this segment. I mean, you have to remember this truck will primarily be used in the urban distribution. Yes. And so long-haul motorway journeys won't be as common for this particular model.
Very good. Thank you, Keith, for your time. Anything else that I haven't mentioned that you might think that we should talk about? I've already covered the cabin inside. It's what I like about Mercedes-Benz is whether it's the passenger vehicles. I've done some stuff with yourselves in the past with the eSprint or the eVito, and even to see the likes of the eActros. The user interface is very similar across a lot of them. Whether I'm driving an EQS, which is a beautiful saloon, all the way up to this eActros, the icons, the infotainment system, it's very intuitive to me.
Absolutely. And one feature you'll notice over the passenger car version, so everything looks probably a little bit more rugged, yeah, exactly. And it is designed to be as such, just for a longer user life, harder wearing materials, strong, durable, and reliable.
Brilliant. Keith, thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you.
I have to get my HGV license next now so I can take this out on the road. But start to see more of these in the channel. We're definitely getting more popular. Hopefully you've enjoyed the look around the Mercedes-Benz eActros today. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment and let me know what you think. And remember, if you think an EV is for you, leave it to me and I'll review. Thank you very much for watching.